Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopisa Vallabhaya Jaya Giri Giri Jaya Raja Janaranjani Jaya Jaya Tirvanachari Jaya Kunjabi Hari Jaya Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Vihari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Gopi Janavallabha Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Giri Varadari Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranja Jaya Yashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranja Yamanatira Vanachari Jaya Kanja Bihari Jaya Kanja Bihari Yashodanandana Jaya Praja Janaranjana Jaya Praja Janaranjana Jaya Vishnu Bhad Paramahamsa Prabhakacharya Saraswati Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jaya Vishnu Bhad Paramahamsa Prabhakacharya Saraswati Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hare Krishna devotees, thank you for joining today. Reading from Kantraj Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Describing Duties for Mankind. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Canto 6, Chapter 3, Yamaraj instructs his messengers. Text number 5. Yadi Surya Bhavalo Loke Shastru Shastro Tandadarinam Kasya Satyam Mana Kasya Satyam Nava Kasya Mrityusjamritam Evavam Yadi Surya Bhavalo Loke Shastara Dhanvatarinam Kasya Satyam Nava Kasya Mrityus Jamritam Evava Yadi Surya Bhavaloke Shastaro Darinam Kasya Satyam Nava Kasya Mrityushcharatam Evavam. Would anybody on Zoom like to do the verse?
I will. Yadisyur bahavo loke shastaro dandadarinaha kasya syatam nava kasya mrityuschamritam evava.
Thank you. Synonyms. Yadi, if. Surya, there are. Bhava, many. Loke, in this world. Shastara, rulers or controllers. Dandadarina, who punish the sinful men. Kasya, of whom. Sat syatam, there may be. Not, va, or. Kasya, of whom. Mrityu, distress or unhappiness. And amritam, happiness. Eva, certainly. Va, or. Translation. If there is in this universe, there are many rulers and justices who disagree about punishment and reward. If in this universe there are many rulers and justices who disagree about punishment and reward, their contradictory actions will neutralize each other, and no one will be punished or rewarded. Otherwise, if their contradictory acts fail to neutralize each other, everyone will have to be both punished and rewarded. Because the Yamadutas had been successful in carrying out the order of Yamaraj. Because the Yamadutas had been unsuccessful in carrying out the order of Yamaraj, they doubted whether Yamaraj actually had the power to punish the sinful. Although they had gone to arrest Ajmal, following Yamaraj's order, they found themselves unsuccessful because of the order of some higher authority. Therefore, they were unsure of whether there were many authorities or only one. If there were many authorities who gave different judgments, which could be contradictory, a person might be wrongly punished or wrongly rewarded, or he might be neither punished nor rewarded. According to our experience in the material world, a person punished in one court may appeal to another. Thus, the same man may be either punished or rewarded according to different judgments. However, in a law of nature or the court of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there cannot be such contradictory judgments. The judgments and their judgments must be perfect and free from contradiction. Actually, the position of Yamaraj was very awkward in the case of Ajmal, because the Yamadutas were right in attempting to arrest Ajmal, but the Vishnu Dutas had baffled them. On Although Yamaraj, under these circumstances, was accused by both the Vishnudutas and the Yamadutas, he is perfect in administrating justice because he is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he will explain what his real position is and how everyone is controlled by the Supreme Controller, the Personality of Godhead. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna. So we're just starting this new chapter, how Yamaraj instructs his order carriers, the Yamadutas. And here we're just about to hear the beginning of Yamaraj's instructions to his servants, the Yamadutas. And as we were hearing this week in previous classes, that this is like, I think the Nagari group was saying, this is like a blockbuster event, something's happening. That never happens. The Yamadutas, who are sent out by Yamaraj to punish the conditioned souls who have committed heinous sinful activities repeatedly, who never ever get checked by anyone, are here being checked by the Vishnudutas who have come and completely baffled them and made them question, actually, who is the supreme punishment? Like, who is the supreme controller of the universe? To their knowledge, it was Yamaraj, because that was their master. He's just giving them instructions. So in their vision, that this is Yamaraj is the supreme master, the supreme controller of the universe. So when they're caught off guard by the Vishnudutas, who are telling them, no, there's actually a higher source of all sources, someone who's superior to Yamaraj, then this person's confusion, where in the translation they're saying, if in this universe there are many rulers and justices who disagree about the punishment and reward, their contradictory actions will neutralize each other, and no one will be punished or rewarded. Otherwise, if their contradictory acts fail to neutralize each other, everyone will have to be both punished and rewarded. So you can see they're just actually very confused and thinking, is there many? Is there multiple people who can give punishment? Is there just one? Is Yamaraj just one amongst many? How will punishment actually be granted to people if there's many people who are doing the same service? So yeah, maybe in one way they're just actually concerned about their service, which is to punish people. So yes, this leads us to this point of how Srila Prabhupada speaking in the purport. He says very clearly, in the material world we experience the person punished in court may appeal. One person they punished in one court may appeal to someone punished in another court. So the judgments can actually be what the actual moral code is of people who are being punished and changed based on the opinions of one person to another. Because in the material world, where most of the time people aren't conscious, or even if they are, maybe it's not in correction with the Srimad Bhagavatam, then their way of morally giving justice and what they're basing things on is actually false. It's not fully correct. And basing someone's punishment off someone's morals or what is correct based on one person's opinion can change because people are constantly changing because they're under the most detailed nature. So, like for example, if it happens so often that someone is arrested for like some terrible crime. They've like committed homicide. Maybe they've murdered so many people, and they go to prison, and the judge says, "Okay, you are in prison for the duration of like, a lifetime. So like maybe 50 years or 100 years. They're in life, they're in prison." And someone else can say, "Okay, well, you should at least post them on bail." So they have, maybe in prison after so many years, they become rectified and they want to go back out into society again. So when the person said, "Okay, post bail at a very high number so that someone has to pay the government so much money so this person, this criminal, can be released back again into public." And this has happened so many times. Even people who commit terrible crimes, like, yeah, so, like assaulting women, raping women, these sorts of things, or vice versa. They just get released back into society again, and then they commit the same actions again. They go to a different court, and the court says, "Oh, okay, I've seen you're a repeat offender, so we'll put a bail at a higher price." Or they go to a different judge, and the judge sees it, and this judge might be more strict and says, "Okay, like, we'll put you somewhere where we know the death penalty is still legal," and then like this, the person can get some relief from their sinful activities. But we also hear in Srimad Bhagavatam that for such a sinful person, it's the punishment is better not to die and not to live. Because if you live, you keep performing sinful activities, and if you die, then you get the result of all your sinful activities. So yes, in this way, better not to live, better not to die. Best thing to do is to just start chanting Hare Krishna. So I want to speak a little bit about how this, our society today is actually very corrupt in the sense of we, there's so many conflicts that are happening in the world, so many problems that are coming up, so much unclean consciousness that is creating so many devastating situations. And what's the cause of all this? And just this morning, I was reading a little bit from Bhagavatam, and I was trying to think about what to speak about in class because I was kind of drawing a blank. And I just flipped open the Srimad Bhagavatam, part 1 of the 8th canto. And besides this really cool picture of a young Dhruva Maharaj that I found on the front cover, there's also a really nice preface that I want to read a little bit from. I'll just read a bit from this because it's quite nice. It'll, kind of helps explain this point more. So Srimad Bhagavatam saying in the preface, we must know the present need of human society. And what is that need? Human society is no longer bound by geographical limits to particular countries or communities. Human society is broader than the Middle Ages, and the world tendency is toward one state or one human society. The ideals of spiritual communism, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, are based more or less on the oneness of the entire human society. They on the entire energy of living beings. The need is felt by great thinkers to make this a successful ideology. Srimad Bhagavatam fulfilled this need in human society. It begins, therefore, with the aphorism in the Vedanta philosophy, Janmadya Asya Yata, to establish the ideal of a common cause. Human society at the present moment is not in the darkness of oblivion. It has made rapid progress in the field of material comforts, education, and economical development throughout the entire world. But there is a pinprick somewhere in the social body at large, and therefore there is large-scale quarrels, even over less important issues. There's a need of a clue as to how humanity can become one in peace, friendship, and prosperity with a common cause. Srimad Bhagavatam fulfilled this need, for it is a cultural presentation for the re-spiritualization of the entire society. human society. Srimad Bhagavatam should introduce also into schools and colleges, for it is recommended by the greatest student devotee Prahlad Maharaj in order to change the face of society. Disparity in human society is due to a lack of principles in a godless civilization. There is God or the Almighty One, from whom everything emanates, by whom everything is maintained, and whom everything is merged into rest. Material science has tried to find the ultimate source of creation very insufficiently, but it is fact that there is one ultimate source of everything that be. This ultimate source is explained rationally and authoritative in the beautiful Bhagavatam or the Srimad Bhagavatam. So just a little bit from this preface, and I'm sure everyone has read, but I was just thinking it's so nice how Srila Prabhupada describes how actually, like material society, yes, it has advanced. It's um, advanced a lot in economic development, the comforts of the material world, education. Uh, yeah, all of this stuff is advancing. I was just thinking yesterday of like AI. I was like, wow, this is, it can be used. They've just like, maybe it was always there, I don't know, but unlock this um, intelligence. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that he gives intelligence to people. So this intelligence has been like opened in a certain way that, yeah, now this whole entire human race has access to AI. And I was thinking, so many people now they can just type into AI, personalize it to themselves, and then type in like, okay, write a report on this. It needs to be this many words, and make it sound like it's written by the intellect of someone who's in like, I don't know, 11th grade, and then send it, and it'll write a report, and then they can even write, okay, read me this report. Then it'll audio read them the report, and they can say, okay, and they just copy it, paste it, and they send it in as their report, and the whole thing only takes like 10 minutes to do. And it saves them, the effort of studying. And then they've published it in such a way where it doesn't look like it's been copyrighted. So it's thinking, wow, it's like they have such a high level of intelligence that they've created through using their intelligence, which is given to them by Krishna. And now they can either use it in an intellectual way to, increase their business. Um, like, we can use it as well to create our business. Or it can also be used in a negative way. So many students can use this to cheat on so many papers. So yeah, the intellect is, they are advancing in society. There's advancing being made to some extent. What they're advancing to, sure, but they're progressing from the simple cave life of what, yeah, we learn caveman sort of style thing. Yeah, although not like 100%. I was thinking the other day that there's this one um, girl who I used to go to high school with who competed in the Olympics and she won a gold medal for shot put, which is like throwing a really heavy ball in the air. And yeah, he's telling one devotee that he's saying this is like caveman sports. You just have this really heavy ball and you sit around in a circle and you throw it. Or sorry, is it just? And there's another one with a ball, and then there's one that you can like you time yourself how fast you can climb up a wall. So all these things, it's like entertainment, but it's actually just like very simple, like simple sports. See why professional athletes are categorized as shudras because it's actually not a. It's yeah, with the physical body and anything to do with the physical body is categorized as shudra work, like dentists, doctors, professional athletes. Yeah, so there's anything, I'm saying think about that. I'm like 100% shudra, but it's just an interesting point. So yeah, on this society is advancing so much into in some direction. What the ultimate goal of their advancement is a God consciousness at the moment. So it's not like a glorious thing. And there's, amidst all this advancement, there's actually so many quarrels, and there's so many problems that are happening that are actually just based on such minor things that are causing such big problems. Uh, and the reason for all of this, like all of these problems, all of these issues, all of these like minor things that are happening, all of the crazy, dark things that are happening in the world, it's actually due to a lack of God consciousness. Because people were God conscious, um, if they had some understanding of the supreme controller, they had some understanding of karma, reincarnation, all of these things, their consciousness would actually be a little bit purified. Yeah, they'd be able to, if they had a purified consciousness enough to be able to understand these things, then yeah, the world would actually be a different place because people would be acting with moral and religious principles. And all of their principles would be based on the same thing. Not that I have my morals, you have your morals. Yeah, I remember thinking when I was a kid that to say like, oh, that's morally wrong to somebody, it's quite a broad statement because different people have different sets of morals. Like the morals of someone who was raised in like a very nice Christian family and grew up in a very protected environment, um, and had a very yeah simple sort of life. The morals of that person versus the morals of a person who grew up in a family where their parents are doing drugs and dealing drugs, the dad's in and out of the house, the mom's bringing home different people, different men. Um, you know, everyone's very abusive towards each other. The persons of that morals will be very different and contradictory to the other side. So to base a human society off what like good morals are can be a very misleading society because everyone's different in that way. And the karmic conditionings of different people are very skewed. And someone who's in that sort of rough environment for so long, they leave their body, they take birth with so many disturbing desires, they enter a new body, they're just born into this like mentality of evil, they commit so many heinous activities. Mhm. Yeah, then this is going on like this. So to have morals that are based on justice that comes from the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam is actually the best because these are directly in line with Krishna, who's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And by reading Srimad Bhagavatam, we can understand this. Yeah, we can understand this point more clearly. Um, so, so as we've heard many times before, the only lacking in the world is a lacking of God consciousness, Krishna consciousness. And people come in contact with mm, when people come in contact with Krishna consciousness who have been living in the material world for such a long time, the feeling is like relief. Like you've been in the hot sun all day, working very hard, and then you come into a room and it's like air conditioned. This is so nice. Such a nice relief. And this relief feeling is actually good because it gives them a time to be able to see, oh wow, yeah, I was working like that sun's really hot. Like I don't know if I want to go back out there. So the relief feelings are really good to have in Krishna consciousness, although they're not substantial. We can't just base everything on those feelings of relief. We need to go deeper, access different levels, go beyond just the relief feeling and become all-weather devotees who, will practice Krishna consciousness, whether it's stormy or sunny or whatever's happening. So yeah, these Yamadutas, they're feeling this bewilderment and they're questioning, okay, who is the actual person? Who is the actual supreme person? Because we were under the impression that it was Yamaraj, but here is someone who seems to be at the higher position. Uh, So they're questioning their authority. So they're doing what any good servant would do and going to their authority, Yamaraj, to ask directly what is the situation, what is the truth that's happening here. And as we'll hear in the preceding verses, how Yamaraj very nicely instructs them on how he's actually the servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And he explains the different yeah, uh, positions of society, or the positions of the higher society. Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, Lord Shiva, their different causes and what their purposes are, and how his position in all of this, how he takes care of the lower regions of the world, dealing with all the sinful people. So yeah, this is the main thing I wanted to speak about today. A bit early, but maybe if anybody has any comments or questions or reflections on this part of Bhagavatam, we can hear from them.
Is that point about in the intro, about the preface? In the preface, you talk about the talking about like the universe of one religion, one mixing the thing in the Bhagavad intro. It says talks about let there be one Lord God, to be one religious practice. And then the one you read today was like, I guess just talking about society is modernizing. So many so-called advancements are there, but there's one thing missing. So yes, maybe those two can be put together. That now that everything is being globalized, there can actually be a movement towards one mantra because everyone's so connected now. And yeah, everyone getting on us. Like everyone getting on the same page. I'm wondering how that relates to this idea of religions and okay, like Prabhupada says, your religion can change, but your dharma is the same. We're all servants of God. So we're not exactly, we're not, we're trying to tell people become God conscious. Even Prabhupada said, okay, let them chant the name of Allah. We, oh yeah, we have a mantra, Hare Krishna Mahamudra. So if you don't have a bona fide mantra, it's going to bring you to God consciousness. Better to then take this. So I'm wondering, like, yeah, how much we are, how much we can promote like God consciousness in general, or how much we should had to give a more specific emphasis. And if we're willing to give just general God consciousness, to encourage people about God consciousness, will there still be some like groupism and some conflicts because my practice is different than your practice? Is that something you can do?
Okay, so in summary, you're asking if it's better if we promote Krishna consciousness to people or just general God consciousness. I listened to this lecture by Vishaka Devi, and she was speaking a little bit about this point, and she was saying that that Srila Prabhupada had said, I have to paraphrase, I can't remember it fully, that people who are practicing Christianity, or actually any religion, they're as good as Vaishnavas. They're like non-different if they're practicing it correctly or fully to their teachings of their holy scriptures. Then there's actually not much of a difference. But she was saying, in relationship, at least in relationship to Christianity, she's saying the only difference is actually one of the main differences is that they eat meat. So she said, so we don't really get involved with that. We just leave that up to Krishna. We can appreciate them nonetheless for their devotion to God. So we've heard that this Krishna consciousness movement is going to take over the entire world. It's like going to flood the whole world, or already has. And we're like action, like little pieces in this mission that are going to help people understand Krishna consciousness. So if we hear, okay, it's already flooded the entire world, then what's the harm in me also just telling someone about it? And of course, it's always good to promote if you feel like confident and competent, like our dearest Leela Kishori Devi Dasi is very competent and knowledgeable about the um, Bible and the Christian lifestyle, traditions, and ways of life. And you can hear when she explains it, it actually sounds very attractive. And you can, she has explained there's many connections between the Bible and, Bhagavad Gita. There's actually a lot of similarities. And I've also met some very nice Christians on the distribution. And you show them the Bhagavad Gita, and they're like, "Oh wow, this is like." They just read it right side alongside their Bible. Like my grandma, she reads Bhagavad Gita alongside her Bible, and she says they're very similar. So someone who's actually pure in heart, they'll be able to see the connection very nicely. But because my knowledge of the Bible is actually very limited, I haven't read the Quran. I don't know much. I only know like 2 words of Arabic that I could, promote in any way. So in this way, I don't feel like I could convince someone to take up a path of religion based on these other religious paths. Whereas the Bhagavatam, I'm trying to read it to a point where I can understand it. And I've definitely had some practical experiences of Krishna's mercy in my lifestyle to the point when I feel like I could tell somebody about that in a convincing way. Tell them, I've suffered so much in my life. I'm still suffering, but the practice of Krishna consciousness is like the only nice thing you'll come across in all of this world. And the more you engage in your world, you're actually just the more you notice it, and the more you reach your lifetime, the more it all becomes clear how much this material world is actually just a place of suffering. So these things I feel like I can say with conviction to someone. So in my opinion, I think preaching Krishna consciousness is for me superior than it would be to just promote religion in general. Also, most religions don't have a rule against eating meat. Eating meat is fine. And this is because the people who were preaching these religions, they were preaching it to the time, place, and circumstance of the people they were talking to. And a lot of times this is like small villages or villagers. So the, I don't know the word is, the people who would come down, these empowered incarnations who would come and they would preach God consciousness, they would be preaching it to the level of participants. Yeah, I think I even heard in class that maybe from this one student, Swami, that he was saying, like, yeah, Jesus said to his followers, there's so much more I can tell you, but you wouldn't be able to understand it. So, in this way, Srimad Bhagavatam is giving the highest knowledge. It's the purest information, it's very clear. Even chronologically, the Bhagavad Gita dates back to one of the oldest books in history, even older than the Tibetan Book of the Dead. So, you can use that argument to people. This knowledge is actually, it's the topmost, it's the highest knowledge. So this is what we should be preaching to people. But of course, if someone is already religious, then just meet them where they're at. Okay, you're already practicing, great. If you want to add this to your collection, read it alongside your Bible. No problem. Or if you're reading the Quran, oh great, this is for all you'll love this one. Read it alongside your Quran. No problem. Don't try and change the religion of someone who's already practicing. They might naturally convert themselves. So, no issue. Otherwise, it's always good to just be an example through our actions. So maybe we don't feel comfortable to directly go out and preach Krishna consciousness to people, but just from being a good devotee, also that gives an influence on people. Like, oh, you're just so nice. What do you want? And you're like, oh, I don't want anything. Really? No one says that in the ceremony. Everybody always wants something from somebody. So just being a good example of someone who's religious, someone who's Krishna conscious. And from what I've noticed is people will usually be able to pick up that you're some kind of you practice some kind of religious background. Like even when I was working before I came, I was working in Wellington, and I was working as a nanny. So this woman hired me, and she had hired my friend. She was also a devotee, and we were taking care of her kids. Before I even told her anything about religious background or anything, because I would usually say like, "Oh, I don't serve meat." Um, the woman said like, just by I wasn't wearing tulsi meat. I had like a very simple like one of those silver sort of tulsi things on. But yeah, otherwise wasn't like in any devotional love. She said, we want to value whatever religious principles you have. So yeah, just let me know. This is a very clean household. We don't drink. We don't do this. Of course, we eat meat, but we have to. We have to eat meat. Anyways, so yeah, she was just right away. She just picked up. She's like, I can tell you're religious, especially to value religious principles. Just let me know what we can do for that. So yeah, usually people can pick up right away on the street. Oh, there's something different about this person. Yeah, and yeah, Krishna consciousness is cool. So it's cool. It's trendy to be like spiritual. It's trendy now to be like in this higher aspects of life. So it's not like it's an uncool thing to practice that. Even like I was telling my brother, I was like, oh yeah, like there's Amish people close to where I live. And he was like, well, that's so cool, like Amish is like so old school. It's like such a cool thing. And I remember thinking when I was a kid, like that would not have been cool. That'd have been like the last thing you want to do is look in any way Amish. It's like so unstylish. But now it's like kind of trendy, to dress in sort of a chaste manner, baggy clothes, like it's all there. So yeah, soon we'll see how Lord Chaitanya's mission is flooding the world. Is that good? Any other points from our Zoom audience?
Hare Krishna, Madhapan Leela. Thank you so much for your wonderful class this morning and for all of these points. I was really, really touched when you said perhaps they were focused on their service. And so that's a good thing. And I was thinking how wonderful it is for us to question, that we should question and we should be reading. And we should be going to our authorities and saying, if I don't understand something, I don't understand it. Because how else will we learn? How else will we come to understand? And actually, when you were talking about the Bible, and when I read the Bible now, and in reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, it was a point when Jesus Christ said to people, because they were following the law, they thought to the letter of the Old Testament. And one of the first things that God said to them was, I just give you every good green thing to eat. Like, eat the leaves, don't eat the animals, basically, and don't kill. And they had changed that, like you said, to time, place, and circumstance. And what he said to them was, I didn't come to abolish the law, I came to fulfill it. And when I read Srila Prabhupada's books, that's how I feel like now I understand things that before people were saying, oh, it's a mystery. It's like, no, it's not. If you read Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, it's clearly explained. Like these things begin to make sense. And so I was thinking about the Yamadutas. And at first I felt when I read this, well, how can you be working for a demigod and not understand who they're working for? Like, how can you not know what the overall mission is? How does that even work? And because my brain works weirdly, I also thought about Germany under Hitler and how at the end of it, at trials, people said, well, I was just following orders. But they were following it at the level that they were given. Nobody at that level supposedly was saying, well, why would you ask me to do that? Where did this come from? And so it is very important to read and to question and to try, like you said, to understand in Krishna consciousness, because the more we do that, the more that we will express Krishna consciousness. Not that I'm trying to lecture you on it or get you to that I'm going to just express it like a sponge. When you squeeze it, it expresses what's in it, when I get squeezed, whether it's by someone questioning me at book distribution or someone just wanting to know more, that's what should come out if I'm fully saturated. And that's what, we're trying to do. And so the Yamadutas were a really good example of only knowing a little, but thank goodness wanting to know more. We know but a little, but if we keep at this, more and more will be revealed. So thank you so much for your class.
Wow, thank you so much. That's such a nice point. I really like that point about the sponge. Yeah, that's really cool. That's something to meditate on. Thank you. Yesterday's clapping. Anyone else? Dina Palaka, do you have your hand up, or is that just a... Oh no, that's my mouse. Sorry. Okay. Okay, hold on. Got a message in the chat. James, Prabhupada says in Chaitanya Charitamrita that when preaching to people who've never heard about Krishna, to preach about mainly how we are not the body. So I was preaching this, but not mentioning Krishna's name. Does the person get spiritual credit that is never lost if they're actually taking in the info? Or does the recipient have to be chanting or hearing the Maha Mantra, hearing Harinam, etc.? I've heard from His Holiness Sarvabhauma Swami that when we're preaching Krishna consciousness, even if we don't necessarily name Krishna, but we're talking about the philosophy, we're showing the books like this, and the person who's preaching and the person who's being preached to both become purified. And even after they have left, then that very spot that we're preaching in also becomes purified. So he was saying this in regards to one of the streets, the Wellington, where we do a lot of book distribution. He's saying this whole street's actually purified because of all the years of devotees doing book distribution here. So people become purified not only from hearing about Krishna, from chanting the holy name, but they also become purified by coming in contact with devotees. even if the devotee is, not necessarily directly saying like Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, but just from the contact with the person who's practicing the practice of Krishna consciousness seriously, then those people become purified. I even heard from one Sacred Tom Bodhi on the street that if you're on registration and um, you're trying to stop people and no one's stopping, and you even just go like this, and someone looks at you, and you like for a second catch their vision, and then they look down, you've just started their spiritual practice. So even such small efforts like that is actually very glorious. Because like the person could be headed right towards the hellish planets, and then you just go in the direction. So yeah, breaching efforts, even if it's just talking about how the body's changing or anything in relationship to Krishna consciousness at all. If they're taking it in a little bit, or even if they're ignoring you, or even if they just give you like a penny, whatever the currency is, a penny or 50 cents or a gold coin, then yeah, that's amazing. Their their life has changed completely. Although we don't see it, they're making a lot of advancement. So good question. Okay, I guess we're gonna stop there. 2 minutes till 8 o'clock. Thank you, everyone, for your live and virtual participation. Nice to have your association. Kanchana Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nanda Vaishnava ki, Nanda
Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada. Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada.
Chaitanya! Shri Krishna.
Hare Rama,
Sri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jai Sripad Param Srivadi Jai Sutar Sadasi Shimad Shiva Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Yumi Ki Jai. Ramacharya Srimad Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Gaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda. Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakunara Giri Govardhan Ki Jai. Shri Vrindavan Ki Jai. Shri Madhavan Ki Jai. Shri Jagannatha Kundan Ki Jai. Shri Nagari Dham Ki Jai. Ganga Devi Ki Jai. Devi Kirtas Maharaj Ki Jai. Samaveda Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Yugadani Ki Jai. Ketara Shiva Ki Jai. Krishna Mandir Jai. Goswami Ki Jai. Nita Jai Gaur You say the verse in Krishna. Now my wish is to have my consciousness purified by the words emanating from his lotus mouth.